Special is brought to you by Citgo. We know you. By Visa, proud sponsor of the Visa Triple Crown. By Long John Silver's, dive into something new. By Budweiser, the best things in life are the things that are true.
At Pimlico in advance of Preakness number 128. Always remember to check your programs carefully before making your bets. But we had Summer X. At first it was just called Extreme Games. Then it became Summer X, Winter X. Now it's X Games Global. We're taking it into space next. But tonight, ESPN2, X Games Global Championship. Athletes from all over the world. That's at 10 o'clock Eastern tonight, ESPN2. Well, the trainer of Funny Side, Barclay Tagg, he'd been known for years and years in other forms of racing, but he wasn't like a marquee name in Triple Crown events. Now he definitely is getting to be a household.
A very respected trainer for those who handicap the game on a regular basis and really keep up with it. But he's a kind of guy that's not a big self-promoter. He's a very low-key trainer, prefers to let his horses do the talking. And fortunately, he now has one in Funny Side that seems to have a lot to say.
Well, this time he does the talking for himself. It's first person about the whole experience with his Kentucky Derby winner, Funny Side.
The upset here, 12-1 coming down to the line, and the gutsy gelding Funny Side has won the 129th Kentucky Derby.
This is what you toil in the trenches for 30 years for, hoping you get a horse like this, because there's so much downside to this game that it's not something anybody in their right mind would stay in. If they didn't have some good things happen now. I feel very comfortable with these owners. They've been very, very good to me, and they're very understanding. And they leave most of the major horse decisions up to me. I really have no reason to feel any pressure. I'm certainly hoping that we can accomplish this. And they've got a lovely horse here, and they deserve to have something good happen for you. I felt sorry for Santos. I felt sorry for his family to have to go through that. The only thing I can say about Jose Santos, he's a world-class rider and he's a world-class person. I just think it's a shame that somebody would not check their situation out a little bit before they stirred up all that kind of stuff. But I think it could have been handled a lot differently. I'm confident that my horse is coming up to it well. I'm confident of its ability to be right there at the end. And I'm confident in my jockey and my crew. But the outcome of a race is pretty difficult to predict. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's a lot. And shipping in between and all that kind of stuff, it's very hard on them, but it's the Triple Crown. And that's what makes the Triple Crown such a precious thing to win, because it is so difficult. It's not just the other horses they run against, it's the whole circumstance. It's a very, very difficult series to win. I mean, I've had horses in a $5,000 race in the last race at Charlestown on a Friday night and felt more pressure than this because I knew the guy was going to take it away if he didn't win the race. And it was the only horse I had in training or something, and I wasn't going to be able to feed my family or something the next day if he took this horse away. So I've had every kind of pressure on me you can have on you in this business. I don't want to sound too optimistic because I'm not an optimistic person, but so far everything's gone beautifully for him. A lot of that's the horse, you know. If you have a nice horse and he's a good horse, and fortunately he's a sound horse and he's got a great disposition, that helps make everything go right. Believe me, I don't feel rattled about anything at all. I'm just happy to be in this position.
I think he kind of looks like cousin of Bob Newhart, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
He's kind of a reluctant star, like you said at the top. He doesn't stick himself out in front. If he had his druthers, he'd show up at the barn at 4, send him out to the races, and not really have to deal with the extra stuff.
And as you kind of heard, he's a refreshing guy because there's absolutely no bull involved with him at all. I mean, obviously he enjoys the recognition of being a Kentucky Derby winning trainer. That's what he's worked for his whole life, to finally get a horse like this. But you're right, he's the kind of guy that eats, breathes, and sleeps racehorses. It requires total focus, in his opinion, to take care of all the details involved in running a racing stable.
And we've been distracting him.
Exactly. Anything that's a distraction to that is something that he doesn't appreciate and doesn't take very kindly to. And since the Kentucky Derby, it's been nothing but distractions.
Well, yeah, huge distraction. I've always described the Kentucky Derby atmosphere as electric, but that has nothing to do with what the allegations were, and they were thrown out.
They were definitely thrown out. Of course, we're talking about all the brouhaha that began with a Miami Herald article and photograph last Saturday, sort of not so subtly insinuating that Jose Santos might have had something in his right hand other than a whip, i.e. an illegal electrical device. There are the photographs that to sort of prove otherwise. The AP photo on the left, taken at the same time as the photo that appeared in the Miami Herald on the right, that might look a bit suspicious at first glance. But as you can see on the left there, the AP photo shows absolutely nothing in Santos's hand, as did the video of the NBC stretch run that we saw there very, very briefly, and it was all a bunch of nothing.
What was that behind him? Janine Edwards is with the jockey to find out how he's carrying on and looking forward to today's race.
Yes, he is. And, you know, Jose Santos, Barclay Tagg, and Funny Side were able to pull off that upset in the Kentucky Derby, and they pulled another fast one, at least the trainer did yesterday, because the horse shipped in here yesterday. Nobody knew he was coming, and I just asked Jose, did you know when Funny Side was coming? And you said you didn't even know, but your agent knew. Why the big secret?
I think my Barclay asked to my agent to don't tell nobody the horse was coming, and not even the jack. I don't know what the reason was, but I was surprised when my agent told me this morning, you know, the horse had been here since yesterday in the afternoon.
And he was in on it.
Yeah, I mean, he know all about it, and I saw on TV this morning the horse was jogging around Pelmico. That was funny.
Now, would a win on Funny Side this afternoon in the Preakness be extra sweet, considering everything you have been through in the last week, and you know what we're talking about?
Well, definitely going to be extra sweet. I mean, if he win today, it want to be a lot better for the people in New York. You know, if he win over here and go back home, it's going to be a tremendous trail for everybody. You know, coming back to New York with 2 victories of the Triple Crown, it's going to be great.
Now, you have been on him all 7 starts, and you rode him last year as a 2-year-old. He won a couple of New York-bred stakes, but he has turned a corner big time. When do you think that happened? Did you notice a change in him at any point?
The last race he ran in New York against New York-bred, he almost got beat. I was sure I was going to win that race about 20 lanes, and I barely win the race by a head. And then I told Barclay something wrong with this horse, and he told me, yeah, he'd been a little sick. And then I worked him one time, and he was making a very strange noise. You know, he was whistling through the throw. And I said, the horse is not right. And he said, don't worry about it. We want to put it away. We want to take care of that matter. And next year, we want to deal with him. And I went to working in Palm Meadows. I went to work about 4 times.
In Florida.
In Florida, definitely. And he was getting better and better. And then he ran the first time in the Hollywood. He drew the post 13, and that was a bad experience. Mm-hmm. He broke to the outside, and he was looking out the whole way. And then when he ran the Louisiana Derby, I feel the horse was to start turning around. He looked a lot better. And then in the Wood Memorial, he ran a tremendous race. I mean, they say, you know, the Empire Maker went pretty easy, but my horse was making a big effort to catch the horse. And when we was pulling him up, and he just get away from the Empire Maker.
And here's the Derby.
And the Derby.
I'm sure you've seen many times by now.
Yeah, I've seen it many times. And the Derby, he proved he was getting better and better. And I was very busy in this horse, and turning from horn, hitting the right hand and left hand and back to the right hand, and get to the wire easy. I mean, it looked like they were going to catch him by the apron, but by the wire, he opened up like a lane and a half on them.
Very impressive. Well, we wish you all the best this afternoon.
Okay, I thank you very much. Thank you.
Best of luck to Jose Santos and Funny Side as they go for number 2. Kenny?
Well, this whole thing's emanated the story down in Miami. That Hank Goldberg is a native of Miami, and he had some opinions, some strong opinion voiced the other day, and I think he's staying with it all week.
Well, meanwhile, back in Miami, the Herald issued something of a mea culpa today in a column that said, "We blew it," also acknowledging that the reporting failed Jose Santos and failed the readers. But then it went on to say that the sport needed this kind of a thing to give it a little shot of interest, that interest is declining, that the sport is dying, that this story will help bring attention to this race this week. You know something? There's nothing like a good cheating story to run that's ill-conceived when you have a gambling sport involved. The second part about it is I would suggest to the Herald that maybe what's going on at the New York Times will help revive sagging newspaper circulation around the country. One final note, Jose Santos was asked yesterday if he planned to sue, and he had no comment. What do you make of that, guys?
Interesting.
Sounds like there's more comment to be made. Well, the sport will never be in poor health when it has Hank Goldberg feeding the mutuals. Photography was the big issue at the Kentucky Derby. The cameras are lined up for the 128th Preakness. All sorts of views on this race and others going forward. We're back here at Pimlico. Horses are on the track now for the first race we're going to be showing in this show. It's the Sir Barton, 11th running of that. Did you know the Preakness Special is presented by Visa, in fact? And the whole thing, you know, is called the Visa Triple Crown Series. Speaking of which, Visa's Carl Pascarella has taken us back in time. We're getting nostalgic right now, going back. And this one does mean a lot. No, this was a great animal. We're going to hear about him right now.
Hello, I'm Carl Pascarella, President and CEO of Visa USA, proud sponsor of the Visa Triple Crown. 25 years ago, a firm came to Baltimore after defeating his arch-rival, Aladar, in the Kentucky Derby. But the Aladar camp was determined to get revenge and deny a firm's Triple Crown bid. The frequent rivals met in a most memorable Preakness on May 20th, 1978.
And they're off. They break away. Indigo Star on the outside takes the lead. A firm coming on.
True to their customary running styles, a firm tracked the early pace, while Aladar dropped back in the initial stages. 16-year-old jockey Steve Cawthon moved the Derby winner to the head of the pack down the backstretch. Then, with a quarter of a mile to go at Pimlico, George Velasquez sent Aladar rolling toward his pace-setting rival.
Inside the 8th pole, it's Affirmed holding a slight lead. Aladar's charging at him. Coming on to the 16th pole, it's Affirmed. Aladar on the outside. They go on down to the finish. Affirmed and Aladar. Here's the finish.
Affirmed again by just a neck over Aladar. For the third time in 6 years, the Derby winner scored a Preakness victory as the heavy favorite. And like Secretariat and Seattle Slew before him, Affirmed would head to the Big Apple with a chance at racing's biggest prize.
It was the last Triple Crown winner, and Aladar the last to finish second in all 3 Triple Crown races. True enough?
True enough. Aladar, one of the best-looking horses you would ever want to see. Affirmed, one of the most intelligent good race horses that ever lived. And what an epic matchup that was.
And there's the old tired notion about needing a Triple Crown winner, all that, saving the racing. But I think having a rival like that is as good as anything, too.
Well, sure, and we've certainly come close to a lot of Triple Crown winners. Just the fact that we've had so many horses win the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness and go into the Belmont with a chance recently. Real Quiet, Silver Charm, Charismatic, War Emblem. That's not too bad for the sport either.
One of the key things at a racetrack is racing form management. When it's blowing away in the wind, that's never good. They're getting ready for the Sir Barton. A lot of them are out of this race. In fact, there have been a lot of scratches all day because one was the fair weather. The other was some races, one race that got moved from turf to dirt. But right now we have the field on the track for the Sir Barton, the first ever Triple Crown winner, but sort of an accidental Triple Crown winner, right? It wasn't even called the Triple Crown when Sir Barton did win the 3.
Exactly, and he was a maiden when he won the Kentucky Derby. 4 days later, he won the Preakness, but that was then. It was a whole lot different back then. These are 3-year-olds, though. These are horses judged not quite good enough for a shot at the Preakness. Number 1, Sky Soldier, 2-1. There's your scratch. Gang, because he won a race earlier on the card. The Woodlawn.
Talking about maidens, Best Minister, the 4 being at 3-1. 102 buyer, which was the biggest jump here, goes from 76, but that was only the maiden, drawn out by 12.
Now you also saw During back there, who was the 8-5 favorite, trained by Bob Baffert. There's Prospects Thunder, a couple of more scratches. And Penobscot Bay, a horse who finished second in his last start behind a Preakness contender, is on the outside.
Finished to Cherokee's Boy, who is in today's Preakness. All right, here's your 4 Best Minister. What do you make when a horse takes a while to beat its maiden, 5 tries, and then just blows up with a 102? I mean, the best buyer in the race.
That kind of improvement is not uncommon for a horse trained by Ken McPeak. McPeak is the kind of guy, and incidentally, he's in Brazil right now, horse hunting. I don't think he's even here. But horse hunting, meaning he's horse shopping.
Yeah, he's not.
I need to be a little more specific.
Not like
about
deer
that.
hunting. No.
Not like deer hunting. But McPeak is the kind of guy that takes his time with horses early in their career. He doesn't gun them in workouts to get them ready to win first time out. Consequently, they tend to need some experience, and they get better and better and better as they race, especially as they go around 2 turns.
During the shots of Best Minister, the animal named During was jogging along at 3-2, the favorite here, and this is a Bob Baffert horse. Ran so well out at Santa Anita and kind of fell apart, like I am right now in the Bayshore Grade 3.
He caught a muddy racetrack, and he just didn't break very well in the base short, but this is better times. This is an allowance race, Feb 20, and what's interesting about this, the third start of his career, he's going to lose this race, but the horse he's going to lose to is called That's What I'm Talking About, who wound up, of course, finishing a very fast closing fourth in the Kentucky Derby. That is During on the rail. That's What I'm Talking About on the outside. So you can tell how talented During is, that he ran so well against such a nice horse, and there's another good look at him with Pat Day.
That makes me like That's What I'm Talking About that much more in the Belmont, actually. But we'll stay with this race. 5 minutes to post. We're going to come back and show it to you real soon. We're racing here at Pimlico in advance of the Preakness.
You're watching Citgo's Preakness Week coverage on ESPN.
Well, you rarely see 7-foot jockeys, but you see many tall people in the NBA, and you can see them tomorrow on ABC. We got New Jersey, we got Detroit. That's at 1:30 Eastern Time, ABC tomorrow. All right, our man Kurt Hoover is down there in the infield. He's not in the R-rated infield, but he's with the fancy people. Kurt, who do you have?
Yeah, I don't know how they let me out in this area. I am out here with Rita and Jose Santos, and wife and son of jockey Jose Santos. Rita, got to be a little nervous. Is the party atmosphere out here helping you a little bit?
Well, I think the children are distracting me, but yeah, I'm a little nervous today. A lot more nervous than I was 2 weeks ago.
It's been an amazing ride in 2 weeks when you consider all that's happened, winning the Derby, the controversy, everything that's happened. Have you feel like you packed a lifetime into 2 weeks?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we were riding on cloud 9, you know, and a week later kind of had a little bit of a low. I mean, we handled it pretty good, though. And then we were looking forward to being here.
I know, guys, looking forward to the race is Jose Jr. Jose, you got your funny side button on. You got a sharp blazer on. This is pretty fun, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Now, are you going to bet on your dad's horse?
That's a decision to Mom.
Okay. Mom's going to make the decision on the betting, so we'll leave that up to Rita. Jose is going to watch, and they're both going to root for Jose Santos and leg 2 of a possible Triple Crown. Guys, take it away.
All right, Kurt contributing to the delinquency of a minor. That's always nice here.
That was good.
And Hank Goldberg likes to do the same thing usually. Hank and Janine have some opinions out there. Hammer.
Scott, from behind in this race, I think there's a lot of speed for him to run at. The way the track's playing, it sets up for him.
Hammer, I think we heard your analysis, but we didn't know which one you picked. Was it Penobscot Bay?
Yes.
Hammer's going with Penobscot Bay. Janine, are you in this race?
You know, I think Penobscot Bay is going to run a big race as well. But let's not forget about number 1, Sky Soldier. Right now, he is 2-1, second choice behind During. And this is the horse that Todd Beatty, who's based at Penn National, shipped into New York for the Wood Memorial. He was steadied into the first turn, and he did not handle the racetrack at all. It was very sticky mud that day, but the horse was undefeated going into that race. And Todd Beatty doesn't ship for nothing. He likes to stay home at Penn National, and so if he's here, I think he believes his horse has a shot this afternoon.
Right now, in a shot that we don't have, Kurt is running to the window betting for Santos Kid, so that's good that he's influenced him in that way. All right, the stakes record, $142 3/5. Dave Rodman is the race caller here at Pimlico. We used him at great length yesterday.
Penobscot Bay. In the gate for the Sir Barton.
Okay, let's go.
And they're off. Clean start. During and Prospects Thunder flash away from Sky Soldier and Best Minister, and Penobscot Bay is allowed to settle in last position and taken over to save some ground into the turn. So around the turn is going to be During, just to the inside with Pat Day, and Prospects Thunder and Travis Dunkelberger to push that one along. They're going at a pretty good pace here for 7/8 of a mile left to run. Length and a half at Sky Soldier is right off that good pace. 4 back Best Minister, and last of all is Penobscot Bay, some 9 lengths off the lead. Indeed, it is a rapid-fire pace, 22 4/5 of a second for this drawing out track rated good, as Prospects Thunder leads the way by a length and a half. During is backed off a bit in second, and During is to be taken just to the outside of Prospects Thunder up the backstretch. Sky Soldier well off the rail in third. Best Minister now in striking range fourth, 4 from the front. Penobscot Bay is the trailer, and During re-engages on the outside. During up to challenge once again is coming outside of Prospects Thunder. Sky Soldier. Best Minister is the prime spot with Prado on the inside. Just a length and 3/4 of the front, and Penobscot Bay is trying to get into it too. Just 5 off the lead. It's wide open here in the Sir Barton. During a short lead, Bestminister's coming on the outside, and Prospects Thunder's got a kick back on the inside. He's toiling now in third with a quarter of a mile left to go. Penobscot Bay rallies on the extreme outside. Sky Soldier has dropped out to last. They turn for home now. Bestminister and Edgar Prado leading a length and a half. During under a full-out drive in second. Penobscot Bay is next in third, but with 1 furlong to go, Bestminister is going to be the best horse in the Sir Barton under a dream ride by Edgar Prado to score going away by 3 as During digs for second and Penobscot Bay and Sky Soldier.
So the last race for Bestminister was legit, Randy. We talked all about it. That huge buyer figure, the speed out of nowhere when compared to the form previous to it. Comes right back here in a nice race, $100,000 stakes.
And I tell you what, this is, as the old commercial used to say, deja vu all over again. You know, last year, trainer Kenny McPeak brought a horse into the Sir Barton named Sarava. Sarava won the Sir Barton very impressively. The next start for Sarava with jockey Edgar Prado was the Belmont Stakes, which Sarava won, upsetting Medaglia d'Oro. Now McPeak is back with Bestminister, another horse who is just beginning to find his best stride with experience, just like Sarava. And this horse clearly has a world of talent. Only his 6th lifetime start. He's bred to go long by Deputy Minister out of a Halo mare. It'll be very interesting to see exactly what they choose to do with Bestminister now.
If only our satellite connections with Brazil were hooked up right now, we could be talking about this. Edgar Prado, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Did you think it could come back as well as it did in the maiden race? I mean, that was a blow-away effort, but a lot of people dismissed it because it was a maiden race.
Well, he did it so easy today in Kingland. The track was pretty similar, and he has galloped around today. He did it so easy. And I thought that he could handle this competition today.
Well, Edgar, tell us, since you've had some trips over the racetrack today, how this racetrack is playing and how it might affect Peace Rules' chances in the Preakness.
Well, Mr. Pasero did a super job, you know, take care of this track after the lot of rain. The track is getting dry each race, so I think it'd be nice and safe for the Preakness.
Edgar, congratulations on the win. Edgar Prado and Bestminister, the winners in the Sir Barton Stakes, splitting horses and taking down the favorite During. Another live race is coming up soon. We're also all over the Preakness. We're live here at Pimlico. Stay around. We're back here at Pimlico, where the Sir Barton Stakes has just been contested, named now the first Triple Crown winner. There is your winner, now leaving the screen. Edgar Prado taking Bestminister, who just won a maiden race by 12, comes right back in his first stakes effort, and is a winner in this race.
And he is in desperate need of a bath, which shows you that he is a come-from-behinder in this race and not one of the horses in front.
Yeah, both the jockey and animal. The animals take public showers. Let's look at it. Split rivals went around in the turn. That's when it made the move.
And how smart are we? We had actually an isolated replay chosen for Bestminister, and as you can see, there is Bestminister now moving up along the inside. Tell you what,
I think the camera was shooting the infield and just happened on him, but we do look smart, don't we?
Eerily similar to Sarava in more ways than what we just mentioned. For example, Sarava had competed in some grass races before McPeak shifted him to the main track, and so had Bestminister. Bestminister, 2 of his previous 5 starts had been on the turf. He didn't do very well in those races. He finished 5th in both of those, but he wasn't running very well at all early in his career. And then he just kept getting better and better, and no real reason for it on paper. It's not like they put blinkers on him and suddenly he got better. You can see he doesn't run with blinkers. It's not like there's suddenly a medication change, just experience and maturity. Each time out, he's gotten better and better, and this is probably even better than the allowance or the maiden when he just had
absolutely, because it's in with such better company. Exactly. Sometimes they do just wake up. So Bestminister's your winner, paying $8.40. All you have to do is go to the window and say, I want number 4. Plus, they're doing the silly head-to-head thing. So Bestminister also taking down Sky Soldier head-to-head if you went that route.
Edgar Prado is in an interesting position, you know, because not only, of course, is he riding Peace Rules today, he rides a horse called Dynaver, who's really on all cylinders for the Belmont. It looks like he could be a top Belmont horse, and he just rode Bestminister, and of course Sarava did this same route and went to the Belmont last year, so he's got a lot of options.
If we get McPeak back from Brazil, we could start making some decisions about a ride on that. But that's still a few weeks away. In fact, you're right. Dynaver is on the list. I was handed that by the Belmont official about who's out there not racing today in the Preakness, and it's a very strong field even without what's in the Preakness. Janine has the connections of the winner today and the Sir Barton.
Well, actually, Kenny McPeak is not here today, so his assistant trainer, Helen Pitts, joins us. And how come Kenny didn't come?
He's out of town at the moment.
He's out of town. He's not in Kentucky?
Nope.
Oh, it's a secret.
Yeah.
But you got to deputize today, and this has got to be like deja vu all over again for you, because
Yes.
you guys came here last year with a little colt named Sarava, nobody had ever heard of, just kind of like this guy, best minister. He's only run a few times. Any comparison between the two?
They're both, I mean, they're similar in the way that it's taken them until now to, to develop and become the horse that they are, and they both went in as an A other than, and stepped up to the plate as asked. I mean, couldn't ask a better race from him.
And here he is winning, and would we dare start thinking about the next step that you took with Sarava last year, the big Belmont Stakes?
I'll leave that up to the boss.
Do you gallop this colt as well?
No, actually, Hannah Jorgensen at home that gallops at home. She gets on most of the time.
Okay, well, what can you tell us about him as far as if he acts like Sarava at this point in time?
Very much. I mean, very much so. I'm not going to take anything away from Sarava or him, but
all right.
They're very similar. They're both very nice horses.
Well, we'll hope it works out for you, and maybe it'll work out like it did last year. Sarava won the Belmont Stakes.
You know, Kenny, last year, McPeak freely admitted he didn't really want to run Sarava in the Sir Barton, but he won it, so maybe he's learned something now, huh?
All right, we'll find out when he gets back from Brazil. She wasn't giving that up. We're coming right back. The Sir Barton's been run. We got another live race coming soon. Pimlico, but want to tell you about some other racing, no matter what they call it. Summer Nationals, Spring National. Now it's the K&N Filters NHRA Super Nationals. They're always flooring it in Englishtown, New Jersey, starting on Saturday. That's today. In fact, catch all the qualifying ESPN2. That's at 6 o'clock Eastern. Now this kind of racing, horse racing. This is the update. Current odds, going from morning line to current odds, and they have really not changed that much since we took our very first look. And I remember in Kentucky, I kept asking as the afternoon went on, are they going to change? Like, when is it going to get real? At a certain point, they start settling in, correct?
Yeah, well, because the more money that you have in the pool, the tougher it is to actually see the pool make any big moves. But the thing about it is there are people all around the country, tens of thousands of people at simulcast locations that don't really focus on betting on the Preakness until about a half hour before the race. And that's when you could see some movement. But so far today, very little movement, surprisingly little.
Yeah, Hank hates it when they leave the gate and the odds change. Some of that late money chasing. Hank Goldberg, what's your opinion on this?
Well, I think it. Well, I've got something on Bobby Frankel, okay, and Peace Rules. You know, Frankel went to the Kentucky Derby with Empire Maker and Peace Rules, who were the first and second favorites in the race. And of course, he lost the Kentucky Derby. But you know what they say in baseball? There's no crying in baseball. Well, there's no crying in the Frankel barn either.
The reason I decided to run Peace Rules in the Preakness, I think the distance-wise, and I don't want to run these horses a lot if I don't have to, and the mile and a half I think would suit Empire Maker really well, and give him a little more time. And I think Peace Rules is a little more mature horse than Empire Maker.
Peace Rules developed a reputation last year as a stellar frontrunner on the grass. At age 2, however, he lost both career starts on the main track. This year, what's been both under the horse and inside him have worked in harmony.
He surprised me the first time that he ran so well. I thought, you know, he trained really good, but you never know till you run him on the dirt. And the bluegrass didn't surprise me. And he surprised me in the Derby how tenacious he was. So I wasn't sure about getting the mile and quarter. And the way he ran, he looked like at the head of the stretch he's going to get beat 4 or 5 lengths, and he hung in there all the way till the wire. So he's a tough horse.
Peace Rules could find a different trip in the Preakness. Kentucky Derby pace setter Brancusi has been sidelined. Frankel said the pace in the Preakness should be slower than what they faced 2 weeks ago.
You hear trainers say they don't have to be in the front, but his best race actually was in the Louisiana Derby where he laid second. So he sort of waits on horses, and which is a good trait because he doesn't run off when he does make good, you know.
Although Frankel may be sitting on his first Triple Crown race victory, a Preakness win won't wash away the disappointment of losing the Derby with the first and second favorites. Rest assured, one thing Bobby didn't pack for Baltimore is a stack of Kleenex.
I don't think it's quite the same, but I won't go home crying if I win.